Hey, what's up, everybody? Tim Kulig, Free Music Podcast. Quick update this week. I'm actually multitasking right now, getting blood work done, keeping an eye on my health. Hooray! Uh, I started a exercise regimen about 3 months ago, beginning of March, and want to make sure that all the stuff is doing the stuff. After the big year last year of hitting the 1,000 milestone, decided it's time to hit the administrative side of things, i.e. make sure health is in order, the administrative and pushing of the catalog is in order, and renegotiating and reorganizing a whole bunch of different things. So my productivity is a little down, and it's been getting under my skin a little bit because I am a very productivity oriented person. So when I'm not making art, I get itchy. And it's not that I haven't been doing that. I have been putting down ideations and some things, but not as consistently and more importantly, not in that consistent and disciplined way that I had been doing all throughout last year. It mostly is because I know my creative tank needed to be refilled these last 2 quarters. So that's why I've only had one album release so far. Probably got about 200 projects sitting out there, and I've got a lot of cool ideas, just feeling their finality yet. It's a very weird place to be. And I wonder if it has anything to do with hitting a significant milestone and the quote unquote, hey, what's next scenario that subconsciously happens in your brain when you reach a major milestone and decide that it's time for a break, even if you subconsciously do. Because I think that's what's happening. I think my whole creative tank and my creative side and just my expansion of this entire business over the last 4.5 years is just told me to take a moment and take some pause, because there's been other aspects of my life that I've been neglecting, i.e. some of the exercise. I just started a weight training regimen 3 months ago, which has really improved my flexibility and overall goodness and feeling and everything. So without that, you've got nothing. So I really had to make that an absolute priority and focus. And also propagating the existing catalog, bringing in Liz, my social media manager, developing content that pushes the catalog that already exists and shows people where to get it and everything else, and doing some targeted advertising. All that stuff takes time and focus. So I wanted to make sure that I took time and focused on that going forward, so that more people would be aware of it, more people would be exposed to it, and more importantly, more people find a use for it and utility for it. So that's been the big thing. That's been the big thing so far this year. And I have also pivoted with the podcast to far more interviews. I've got a whole bunch in the tank right now that are coming out through June and into July. So those promise to be exciting. Some industry ones, some folks that use my music, some folks that potentially will use my music, and all different kinds of disciplines. Very excited about that. That's an aspect of the podcast that I honestly anticipated it would evolve to more of a collaborative cohort type of thing, where I'm interviewing people that I'm interested in what they do for creativity. You can't see this, but this complete aside, it's love bug season down here in Florida, and my windshield's just covered in these things. It's like the worst thing for a car's paint job. These things are just everywhere. It hasn't rained consistently down here in like 4.5, 5 months. And these things are usually gone by now, but my God, they're just everywhere. Anyway, I digress, but it's exciting. It's exciting. I am very excited on the prospect of some of the other things I want to do this year, which seeing more and more a need for more utility pieces, specifically things that could be used in social media that have no big lead up, no big intros or anything, just out of the gate type of stuff. And I'm spending the next month and a half doing some research on that. Third quarter is going to be a big barrage of that. So I've got to talk to my distributor, actually, because some of it's going to be so utilitarian that it's going to be like 30-second, 60-second, 90-second clips, but like hitting the mark right out of the gate. So when you're going through and you're testing out the actual tracks, it hits the mark in the first 3 seconds. It's specifically for people in social media. And I feel like there are some people out there that focus on this, but most of the time you have to search for this. And I'm trying to make it more simple for people where if they want, like, they're doing a series of shots where there's cues for the shot changes, even to the point of, like, ticking clock, like click, 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 and then having a track that does that and hits that out of the gate as like a way to like show a list of things, listicles, those things, list videos, but also I want to make sure that stuff that's going to make it as simple as possible, and more importantly, more utility for the end user, so they don't have to keep searching around, search for that mark. People don't seem to have time for anything anymore. They really don't. And if they're going to use some of this stuff to build a side hustle or build a social media presence, or just in general build something that they want to be creative with, and they don't have all this excess time to edit, I feel like it's a value add to create things that make it that much more simple for you to edit in the back end. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to love some feedback on this. Good, bad, the ugly, I don't care. I want it to work for people, and I want to add value here. I feel like very strongly I've been wanting to do stuff like podcast beds and this kind of stuff for a while. And I was very hyper focused on hitting that 1,000 mark of traditional tracks and utility and production beds. Now I can focus on this like micro genre of music production, which is okay. Now it's super utility. Like, these aren't things that you'll necessarily go and put on a playlist on Spotify, but man, do they hit the mark and help you with what you need to do. So very much interested in that. Speaking of Spotify, I have, with Frequency Digital, made arrangements to get my entire catalog whitelisted on the Spotify podcast platform. So part of one of the meetings I'm having today is to check on status of that. Once that entire catalog is infused into that platform, I will do some massive promotion on that, because that is an ongoing issue with some podcasts. They use various music that's supposed to be Creative Commons or royalty free. And because the podcast portion of Spotify is challenging in the sense of who the license holder is and claims being made on the back end, there's all third parties that collect on our behalves that have nothing to do with the end revenue to the users of the music. But the platform itself runs into problems when it has conflicts in rights. And what I've endeavored to do on that platform is to find a path that allows all my users to use the music problem free. And I've been in multiple talks about this, and it's in process now. So once it's done, I'm going to have a massive email blitz or social media blitz on this, advertising, letting people know it's a safe catalog to use on that platform, and then it's all ingested into a whitelist category on there that makes it safe to use. And with confidence you can post episodes and not have them pulled down by the platform. I mean, that's a real bummer when the platform's default answer is to remove things and just create havoc. Now you got to go back in and ask for forgiveness or ask for, show that you do have the right license. And when you have a Creative Commons royalty free permission for me, that is a license. It's a legitimate license. So yeah, we're solving that problem. We're solving that problem big time. But so that's happening. We're solving stuff there. We have some more utility stuff coming out this year. Big emphasis on the podcast and growing that, and growing the fan base with that through interviews, through more promotional and discussions with Tom Seymour in regards to the movies that we've got going, which incidentally, we just won a Silver Telly for Video Dreams, which is awesome. That makes 25 wins and 50 official selections for that movie. We are absolutely pumped at the response on that movie. And we're making some serious headway on our next project, which is to be discussed. If you've listened to the podcast before, you realize that we have discussed a little bit about what the details of that project is going to be. Right now, we have a very, very, very loose, rough cut of that. I don't anticipate updates on finality with that until probably the quarter of next year, which is just typical of our documentaries. We get to a rough area on it and then decide what it's talking about, and then make a lot of adjustments. And by saying we make a lot of adjustments, Tom makes a lot of adjustments. All of the beauty happens on the editing floor. And it's Tom's mastery of the craft that allows it to tell the story that it needs to tell. I am lucky enough to help produce and add some sonic background to it in various parts and help design the overall score of the project. So we got a really good partnership there. Thanks, Tommy. Love you. So that's coming along pretty well. Very excited about that. And yeah, like there's just a lot going on, a lot of little moves. Finally, I've decided with some of the social media to start being a little more surgical in regards to the channeling and the way that I promote and also entertain at like the edutainment of the royalty-free catalog that I have. I mean, because you can only say like, hey, use my track, so many times before people are just like, I don't want to hear that anymore. So I'm developing different ways to educate and to entertain while kind of side pivoting to, oh, by the way, this is my catalog. So in the coming months, you're going to see a pivot on YouTube where there's more isolated channels. Specifically, I'm building out one just for the podcast, building out one just for shorts or snippets in like horror, lo-fi, and the epic orchestrations. And I'll still have the main channel that's kind of a conglomeration of everything, but it will point to all these sub-channels. And the reasoning behind this is that algorithmically, that platform doesn't quite understand what the hell I am. And it's because I like long form stuff, mid form stuff, short form stuff, and it's playing the social media and platform game. You have to kind of understand algorithmically what it's trying to promote you to. And if you don't play that game a little bit, then your ability to expand your audience is very limited. With that in mind, I've recently had multiple discussions with my social media manager, and I've decided that I'm going to keep the current channel, but I'm going to start building sub-channels that promote this more surgically in different areas, because I think that's ultimately the way that the fan base is gonna build over time. And I struggle with it personally from an authenticity standpoint, only because like I should be able to have a channel where I just share everything I do. Part of me just feels like, just do that and then you'll get what you get. But I also am trying to make up for some lost time where I wasn't actually publishing. And the best way to do that is to find the paths of least resistance. And in this case, it's okay, if I want to really promote the horror tracks, I should have a channel dedicated and devoted to that specifically. That way, the people that like that and want that, that's why they come. The problem is with a catch-all page is that one week I'll release a lo-fi album, another week I'll do a horror album, and your audience base doesn't know what the heck to do. So I think the time had come that I had to create some of this more isolated surgical sub pages. And it's going to be a good experiment because it's going to show me from an organic standpoint, when you focus in one specific area, how much does the algorithm and platform itself pick you up? And then I can get real hyper specific with thumbnailing, with titling, with a lot of different things. Use tools like vidIQ and different aspects, and just look at some of the competitors out there and piggyback off of the stuff that's working for them, all just in the intention of getting more of it in the hands of people that need it. So yeah, a lot of that crazy admin recalibration going on in my business life, in the catalog life, in my personal life. It's exhausting sometimes, absolutely necessary. And it's, I've struggled with it the last several weeks because there's parts of my persona that are itching to get more creative again, but then I know I've got to get my house in order when it comes to some of this content and the way it's organized and everything too. Otherwise, what good is it if people aren't seeing it? It's like I can write 10,000 tracks, but if it's not getting into the hands of the people that need it, it's not doing the work it's supposed to do. So I have to concentrate on both. And that's really a challenge. It's really a challenge for me because that's a lot going on. Plus I have my consulting gig. So all that stuff, balancing time management and everything else, and then just freaking resting. Like it's so important to like take a break and just not do things. It's okay to be not productive when you're in that time of rest and calm and reflection. So many answers come to you, and it's so important to make that time in that space. So over the next couple of weeks, in addition to staying committed to this 3-month plus exercise regime that I had started in the second week of March, I am going to do a lot more mid-distance walks, like 4, 5, 6 mile plus, use those as ways to create clarity and understanding of what the next steps need to be. So very vital and important to take the time to do that in your life. Super important to focus, super important to reassess, monthly, quarterly, annually, what the next step should be. And that's kind of where I'm at. So if you see recently, there's been some holes in the blog posts and the Patreon and stuff like that. That's why I've been really kind of focused on trying to figure out what some of the next moves are going to be. And it's important to take that time for self-reflection to see ideally what the next step should be for the catalog and ultimately for my end users, because I am in service to you folks. So again, any and all feedback is highly welcome and encouraged. It's super, super valuable to me to know what people need and what people are looking to do next. I try to be as forthcoming and open and just exposed as possible in this whole journey. For that reason alone, I want every move I make to be one that adds value to creators, movie makers, TV, everything in all that space, and find opportunities to get the music in as many people's faces as possible. If they need it, great. If they don't, well, I've qualified that it's not something that you need to add to your toolbox, and that's fine too. That's totally fine. But yeah, that's basically it this week. I've got, let's see, next week, that's going to be the 28th. That's, I think, Mark Savant is the interview. He's great. That was a fantastic interview. Mark actually gave me some advice. He's one of the ones that catalyzed the idea on YouTube. So thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate all of your sage advice in that space and helping me understand that there's a pinch point being created at the very least on the YouTube platform that could be expanded upon by having sub channels that are more surgical and micromanaged content as opposed to a catch-all page. So thank you very much for that. It's being open to constructive criticisms like that are vital, especially when you work for yourself and you're in this creative space. Ego needs to be thrown out the window and left at the door. It's just one of those things that I don't know everything. And every time I learn new stuff, every year I've been into this business, I realize how little I know, more so year upon year upon year. And I am just humbled by the folks that know more than me. And I love my experts, and I absolutely will go to them ad nauseum to make sure that I'm making the best moves forward to basically provide the best value to my end users. So that's basically it this week. It's pretty short. This is probably 20 minutes or less, but it's unusual. It's different. It's in the car. Hopefully you're not just staring at my nose the whole time. There's nothing weird in there, but this is almost 100 episodes of full length. By the end of June, I think I'll hit the 100th episode. We'll have to do a special one for that. Maybe I'll get Tommy in on that. Tom Seymour, gonna have to include him in the conversation here. But yeah, I was able to do this just before I hit home, and I have a meeting in 25 minutes. Look at that. Look at me being efficient, even when I feel like I'm not being efficient. Fantastic. Thanks for joining me this week, guys. Again, any kind of music you're looking for, anything I can help with, please reach out to Tim at timkulig.com or timkuligfreemusic@gmail.com, and we'll see you next week.